Final Destination 2. The most iconic of the series, it takes place 1 year after the first. We're introduced to the main character, Kimberly, who's preparing for a road trip with her friends, Shayna, Dano, and Frankie, all of which are completely irrelevant. The characters are adults this time though, which means I can finally make immature jokes without being put on a list, and I'm gonna abuse this power while I still have it. Kim gets off to a rough start as her car is leaking transmission fluid, she's driving like shit, and puts on her seatbelt pretty far into the drive. Kim, lock in. At this rate, you won't even make it to your final destination. Along the way, a bunch of stuff happens, foreshadowing a... And my favorite sign has to be... This movie is really up in your face compared to the first one, which I like because if you've seen the previous movie like you're supposed to, the cat's already out of the bag, so instead of pointlessly trying to catch us off guard with the horrific event, it travels in edging us, like, uh-oh, seems they're gonna crash. I hope they don't crash. Maybe not. Also, hello again. Something really important happens that I can't show on YouTube, but if you pay close attention, you might just see it. Did you catch that? Go back 10 seconds and look closer. We finally get the we came for, as the logs on this ominous looking truck come loose and wreak absolute fucking havoc on the highway. Everyone crashes and dies horrible burning, screaming deaths. Psych, it was all in Kim's head. I can't believe you fell for that a second time. Kim is our seer this time around. Seers is what the fandom calls the people who have visions. During the pileup, there are some shots where you can see the cars are empty, and in others, they have dummies in them. But like, it's very obvious that they're dummies. Some of the cars are also way too eager to explode, which I can't help but roll my eyes when movies do that. But these are all nitpicks. The sequence is sick as hell overall, especially considering that it was all done with practical effects. Now, CGI was used, but only to touch up and put shots together. The only exception is the logs, funnily enough, which they had to do with CGI because real logs barely bounced at all, which I think is hilarious. I love practical effects. I don't care if it looks better with CGI, it will never have the soul that the practical effects provide. But that's just my opinion. What is not an opinion, however, is the cultural impact of this scene. A piece of media having real-life influence on people's behaviors is every creator's wet dream, one I will probably never achieve. Anyway, back to the movie. Kim freaks out and puts her car sideways to block the road in an attempt to save herself and everyone else, among which is Officer Burke. He goes up to her like, "Oi, oi, oi, you wanker, what's all this then?" So she tells him, and he thinks she's crazy. But then the log truck pulls up and demonstrates that Kim was in fact not crazy. Oh, and the number 180 shows up on a road sign in the midst of it all. Same number as the flight from the previous movie. Yeah, this is gonna keep happening. I'm just glad they didn't go with 666 as their curse number. That would have been really cheesy. Ooh, flight 666 crashed. Ah, the devil's number. Another semi comes and sweeps up Kim's car with everyone in it and almost gets Kim herself, if not for Officer Burke. Kim and everyone she saved are taken for questioning. She tells Burke about her vision and draws a parallel to Flight 180. She says she had a vision before the pileup happened, like Alex did before the plane exploded. Eugene sarcastically remarks that everyone from that flight ended up dying anyway. But Burke points out that Claire is actually still alive, locked up in a padded room. Everyone calls bullshit and leaves, much to Kim's dismay. Her dad takes her home, where she tells him about the vision and shares her concern for the others, worrying they'll soon arrive. Arrive where? To their final destination. First up is Evan, who I don't feel sorry for at all, and neither should you. I mean, he literally tosses old pasta out the window. I should also point out that he won the lottery the day before, and like most lottery winners, went and bought a bunch of expensive garbage that he doesn't need. Bro microwaves noodles without even glancing at it like a complete fucking psychopath. You should always check your food before putting it in the microwave to make sure nothing dangerous has gotten in it. Something like, I don't know, a fridge magnet perhaps? He puts on his new drip while his dinner cooks, but the microwave doesn't exactly like how the magnet tastes and starts gagging, which startles Evan, causing him to drop a piece of the drip in the garbage disposal. And being the fucking idiot that he is, he immediately reaches in after it, forgetting that his microwave is turning to an IAD. And the clusterfuck continues as his new big-ass gold watch gets stuck in the drain, and no, the garbage disposal doesn't turn on its own. I know you thought it would, I did too, but he just stays stuck like that, while the food he was cooking catches fire. He tries to put it out from where he is with a towel, which doesn't go very well.
It was at this moment that he knew. he fucked up.
Lucky for him, his hand comes loose and he makes it to the fire escape just before the whole apartment blows up. He makes his way down, but then slips on the pasta that he threw out earlier, directly beneath the sliding fire escape ladder. And Death once again plays with his food.
Jesus Christ!
Bro's not beating the cat allegations, while Death is responsible for Evan's, death. I think Bro's smooth brain played an equal part in it. Burke gets busy researching Flight 180 and we learn that Alex, despite all his efforts and knowledge, still ended up dying. And a lame-ass death at that. A brick fell on his head. Like, you have people dying at the end of an insane, elaborate 20-step domino, and then there's Alex. So freaking anticlimactic. But hey, at least it was quick. Also, his girlfriend apparently is called Clear, not Claire, like I've been saying this whole time. Look, I'm using subtitles that have a bunch of typos in them, so I just assumed that was one, because who the fuck is called Clear? Does she have a younger brother called Opaque too? Or a creepy uncle called Murky? If her dad was transgender, would that make him transparent? The news about Evan's DIY lobotomy freaks the other survivors out, so they all head up Burke and arrange a meeting at his place. Kim does some research on Clear and decides to visit, and together they conclude that the order is reversed this time and that Kim already got skipped when Burke pushed her out of the semi's way, so Death will get back to her when it's done with the others. Clear tells her to look for signs and offers no further help.
You gotta help me.
I don't have to do anything.
But you beat it.
Take a look around. What did I beat, Kimberly? If you were smart, you'd save yourself and just forget about the others.
Which pisses Kim off.
You're too damn bitter and selfish to help any other person. In my opinion, you're already dead.
Clearly, Clear isn't staying alive because she wants to, but rather out of pure spite. And I mean, can you really blame her? After all she's been through and everyone she's lost? Especially considering that her life was ass even before the whole plane thing. Faced with that much trauma, there are only two possible responses. One either goes into a deep depression and gives up, or one stands burned by the embers of Armageddon, his soul blistered by the fires of hell,
And tainted beyond ascension. He chose the path of perpetual torment. In his ravenous hatred, he found no peace, and with boiling blood, he scoured the unknown plains, seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels.
Anyway, Kim finds Officer Burke at her doorstep, who says he believes the death stuff and invites her to the meeting. Then, out of nowhere, a bunch of pigeons fly at Kim, causing her pants to turn brown, which she interprets as a sign. The pigeons, not her, herself. Next on the list are Tim and Nora, who are at the dentist, which goes to show Death really got no chill. Like, come on, man, the dentist is already scary enough as it is. But nope, no mercy. Death wastes no time and gets cooking. Okay, why do all dentists have a fish tank in their clinic anyway? Is it because of Finding Nemo? Is Disney really behind all this? Speaking of Finding Nemo, birds keep flying into the window here too, except it's normal-sized birds. This is in Australia.
This is America.
Worried about using a needle with the constant avian jump scares, the doctor switches tactics. A pigeon breaks through the lobby window, which draws the doctor away from Tim. It also provides a distraction so that no one notices the leaking filter as it fucks with the clinic's power, shutting off the oxygen pump hooked to Tim's nose. But no worry, he can still breathe through his mouth. His wide, open, unobstructed mouth. And just like that, Tim choked to death. Is what I would say if the secretary didn't randomly walk in and pull the thing out of his mouth. Death has been cheated once again. On their way out, they see Burke and Kim running at them, yelling about pigeons! So Tim, this big baby, runs at the pigeons to scare them off, who fly at a construction worker, causing him to accidentally hit a lever and turn Tim into baby oil.
It's all fun and games till some kid dies. Then it's hilarious.
A self-fulfilling prophecy if I've ever seen one. This dumbass got himself killed because these two drew his attention to the pigeons! Although he might have still done it anyway, since he has had the mind of a child. I mean, he is a child, but he had the mind of an even smaller child. You get the point, shut the fuck up. But hold on a second. Why did Tim die? The design was all set in the clinic when he was choking, but then the secretary saves him. Shouldn't that skip him? Maybe even drag the secretary into the design? Or was all of that part of the design which hinged on these two's warning? But if so, then what was the point of everything that happened in the clinic if all it needed was just Kim and Burke? Was Death just playing with his food again? Death really is just a cat, isn't it? Clea shows up, interrupting Kim and Burke's sob party, and offers to help. Not sure how she found them, but it's clear that she had a change of heart. The three of them drive to the morgue where she introduces them to the man, the myth, the legend!
Hello, Claire.
He does what he does best and fucks with them while casually processing Evan's corpse. But then Kim asks nicely, so he gives her a hint.
Only new life can defeat death.
What the hell does that mean?
Somebody once told me.
Apparently there's a balance between life and death that can be reset by introducing a new life that wasn't meant to be.
You have to follow the signs, Kimberly.
How do you know my name?
I fucking love this guy. He's the best part of this whole series. Later, Kim gets a vision of driving a white van into a lake and drowning, which reminds Burke there was a
Pregnant?
chick in a white van who's called Isabella on the day of the pileup. Clea puts two and two together and theorizes that if that woman survives until her baby, who's supposed to die along with her, is born, that could be the new life they need. So Burke uses his police magic to get Isabella's license plate and reports it stolen so they can find her. Kind of strange how Kim saw everyone's death in her vision, except Isabella was just shown this little thing and left to assume that she died since everyone else did. After all, we're dealing with death itself. A
Pregante.
woman is no match for it, especially when the stakes are this high. You see, the child she's carrying has the capacity to out Pizza the Hut, so Death will do whatever it takes to prevent that, as the fast food industry is one of Death's biggest allies. At the survivor meeting, Clea explains the plot, while Kim hands out burner phones to use if someone sees a sign. Eugene still ain't sold, Kat is on the fence, Rory is on more drugs than Courier 6, about to head through the quarry junction, but he seems on board, and Nora's just too depressed to even care about any of this. Clea almost gets a facelift, so they get working, making the place safe. When Nora decides she's got nothing left to live for anyway, and she leaves. She's having the opposite response of Clea that I mentioned.
She has
Crippling depression.
And then Eugene follows her, doing the whole I control my life bit that Carter did.
I'll be sure to carve that into your tombstone.
Low-key, Vicious Clear is hot.
Such fire in you now.
I would let her spin in my mouth. Anyway, Rory gets literal foreshadowing in the form of this shadow man with hooks, which is referring to this creepy dude. Clea rushes out to get Nora while Bork calls her on the burner. The phone startles her catatonic ass, so she drops it. While leaning down to grab it, her hair gets caught on the hooks. Bork tells her to look out for a man with hooks.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
She rushes out of the elevator when it opens, but her hair pulls her back in, and crazy how any elevator is one fuck up away from becoming a guillotine, isn't it? Also, this is the second time their attempts to save someone ended up causing them to die, so it's safe to say that Death has upgraded its designs to anticipate for the Seer's interventions. Eugene bursts in, having a meltdown, which culminates as he snatches the officer's revolver and tries to blow his own brains out, but he fails. Bro is the final boss of Russian roulette.
They're all duds. 6 in a row? That's impossible.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
The remaining 5, along with Clear, head out to get Isabella, who's been located and is currently chilling in custody. Her water breaks, however, and the only patrol car the precinct has is not available because the police got defunded, so she and the only cop there with her take her van to the hospital. It's Kim's vision, isn't it? Along the way, the survivors exchange stories about other times that they dodged death, all of which turn out to be somehow related to the survivors of Flight 180. Eugene was transferred from the school he worked at to replace Miss Luton. Then 2 days later, a kid stabbed the teacher who would have been him at the first school. Kat would have died at an Airbnb where a gas leak killed everyone overnight, but she never made it there because the bus she was in liquefied Terry. Bork dodged the shooting that killed his partner because he got a last-minute call to go mop up Billy from the train tracks. Rory had tickets to the theater that collapsed in Paris and killed everyone inside, but he was late because he was tripping balls. He only managed to get there in time to see Carter getting whacked. And finally, Kim was at a mall with her mom, where a bunch of dickheads tried to carjack them and shot her mom. Kim only survived because she fell behind to watch a report about Todd purportedly hanging himself, while her mom went outside. Recognizing that everyone made it this far only because the first bunch on the plane dodged death, Clear hypothesizes that the plane survivors didn't just screw up their design, but they caused a rift in all the designs, which Death was trying to round up, but Kim ended up fucking that up as well. On a side note, in all these stories, the kill count comes out one short, as someone dodges death, except Eugene's. Someone still got stabbed, just not the original target. Apparently that doesn't matter though. Fuck that one teacher, I guess. And Clear's theory would make sense if not for the fact that she's still here even to conclude it. Shouldn't she be the first on Death's list since she eluded it the longest and the last piece of the rift that spawned this new one in the first place? It's not like Death hasn't had a chance at her yet. There were a bunch of opportunities to take her since she left the sanctuary.
Such fire in you now.
Defeats death, follow the signs.
What the fuck are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
Carve that into your tombstone.
So why is she still breathing? Is Death just styling on her? In perfect irony, the gang's tire bursts, and they almost crash head-on into Isabella's van, but Kat manages to avoid it. Whoever said women can't drive was tripping absolute balls. Although it seems she used all of her mana on that swerve and can't use the brakes anymore. So they go off-road, hit a bunch of stuff, and eventually stop on someone's property. And by stop, I mean crash trunk first into a bunch of construction materials that impale Eugene's chest and almost get Kat's head. She's also now trapped by a thick-ass log stuck through her door. Okay, maybe the women can't drive thing isn't entirely false.
Watch out for power lines!
The property owners come out to help and their son almost gets hit by a news van, but Rory yanks him away. Are people really this oblivious in real life? The news van's gas tank pops on a rock and it starts leaking.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
Forget about it for now. Rory and Kim watch the firefighters as they work to get Kat out, then he gives Kim his keys so she can delete his browser history. The firefighters seem to have forgotten to remove the PVC spike of doom that is inches from Kat's head. Minor oversight. Having overdosed on microplastics, Kat drops her cigarette, which the wind blows towards the gas from the news van that has pulled nearby. Meanwhile, Rory's over here sniffing glue away from the crowd, so Bork gets ready to commit police brutality when all of a sudden a tree branch snaps and falls towards him, forcing him to duck just in time to... Yo Rory, what do you think of all this death design stuff? I don't know, man. Kinda on the fence about it. With only Kim, Bork, Clear, and like 60% of Eugene left, the merry trio take the owner's truck to go get Isabella. On their way, Kim gets another vision where she's at a hospital and someone called Kalarjian is trying to choke her. They assume it's Isabella, and a nurse with that name will try to kill her. Not sure why a nurse would want to do that, but she must be stopped at all costs. Isabella's baby is too important. Eugene hears the news about Kat, but he's immediately given other stuff to be sad about. At the hospital, Clear looks for Eugene while the other two try to stop Kalarjian, who's actually on her way to Isabella's delivery room to help with some complications, and these two idiots stop her, putting the baby and Isabella in danger. The baby still comes out fine though, and Pizza Hut's days are numbered. Eugene's respirator switches to emergency battery as death is officially defeated. Or is it? Kim gets a sequel to her very first vision that shows Isabella was in fact never gonna die on the highway in the first place. I was cooking when I pointed that out. So she and her baby never mattered. I mean, they do, of course, like that. But not like in a defeating death kind of way. Death may be evil, but even it refuses to spawn kill. Clear finally finds Eugene, unaware that his room has been filling up with oxygen this whole time, which can only mean
double kill.
Kim's hands are now bloodied like in her vision, so she realizes it was her this whole time, and she has to die and be brought back to end this. She hops into an ambulance parked out front and drives into the nearby lake. Bork dives after her, and then we cut to the other vision playing out for real, but Kalarjian is actually zapping her back to life, not choking her. And since she flatlined for a bit before she was brought back, it counts as a new life that wasn't supposed to be, and they beat death on a technicality. Turns out the key to beating death is just modern healthcare. No wonder it took them so long to figure that out. I too would rather take my chances with death itself over the American healthcare and insurance system. And with that, death is defeated. For real this time. Or is it? Remember what Clear said? How every disturbance causes further disturbance? Remember that dumb kid that Rory saved? Meet Brian Gibbons. Brian was the son of Mr. and Mrs. Gibbons, the owners of the property that Kat's SUV crashed at. They're really nice people, and they invited Kim and Burke, who are now dating, over for lunch after all the shenanigans were finished. But what the Gibbons didn't know is that they had some unfinished shenanigans of their own that are now finished. Barring that unfortunate accident, Kim and Burke did what Clear and Alex tried and failed at, and they lived happily ever after. Rumor has it they are still paying the hospital bill to this very day. This movie honestly deserves to be the most iconic of the series. The main event is sick, tiebacks to the previous movie were consistent, the kills, while still very elaborate, made more sense than last time. I also like that they didn't do that thing where a song plays every time before someone dies. It was a cute little quirk in the first movie, but I don't think it would have worked if they just kept doing it every time. I honestly give this a 10 out of 10. I mean, they even showed a damn fine pair of bare titties at the beginning. And who doesn't like titties? But, unfortunately, a perfect score can only mean that it's only downhill from here.